how have you grown as a leader in building teams and people to create good outcomes?
Well, okay, that's a great question. I have found that as long as I've been in this business, I'm still not the greatest judge of talent and compatibility. But I would say probably the thing I gravitate towards most when it comes to a hiring decision is I look at somebody's journey. I want to see that they've struggled in their life and that they've persevered through those struggles. I'm not necessarily looking for somebody who says, "Hey, I want to be making six figures, by year five, or I have a certain financial goal that I want to meet, or that they're just totally motivated by money." I am looking to hire people who are empathetic, who have a life story, a story of challenge and success, because I can train people around those skills, but I can't teach people empathy, and I can't teach people patience. If they're not patient people, this is just not going to work because sometimes we get calls on people from people who are just having the worst day of their life. They don't call me and say, "Hey, thanks, man, my bill went up. Just want to say have a good
It was
day."
a great day.
Yeah, hey, cool. I mean, they're calling me because their car's gone, or they're calling me because their bill went up, $50 a month. I mean, we have to be able to talk people through this stuff.
Mm.
And the weird thing is that I think everybody right now, they understand that right now we are not in California where we need to be from the perspective of crime and respect and violence. And I think we also, when I explain to people why their rates are going up and why we can't continue doing business in a certain type of product, unfortunately, they get it. And going back to your question a few minutes ago, Dom, that's really frustrating me because I don't have the control. I can't control crime. I can't control this stuff. We're just dealing with the after effects of all those bad elements going on. And it just really saddens me. I've probably in the last month, I've had two or three people come into the office and just say, "I just can't pay my bill. What do you want me to do here?" And I don't have a great answer for them. So we got to get that back. And I'm, like I said, I'm an optimist by nature. I think that pendulum is starting to swing, and I think we have better times ahead.
It's interesting the trait that you're talking about. Which of your top geniuses do you think that you're relating to of the trait that you look for in those other people? It has the
This is
same starting letter as empathy. Does that help?
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Dom, help me. Can I call it a leaf line? Dom?
Is it enablement?
Yeah.
Enablement for $500, Alex. What do you win, Dom? A brand new car.
This is why I couldn't pass the test for the county. Just the gears. What?
Frozen
Okay.
gears.
What is the name of your wife?
I got nothing.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah.
also not good off the cuff, so I understand.
No, but going back to team, I've hired people. Like I have one who's a fantastic taskmaster, and Justin, you know how much I hate that kind of stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, and then I've got another one over here who's just, I'm patient and empathetic, but Diana can sit with a customer and talk to them ad nauseum about their concerns, their needs, and find a solution. Whereas I get a little, ants in the pants when, we can't come to a faster decision. So she's great. And then we have a new hire who, again, I hired towards capabilities. She's got a story. She's got a great story to tell. I'm so proud of her. And she's learning the business. And every day I can see her learning a little bit more. When we first hired her, I was wondering, does she have a voice? Because when I interviewed her, she talked. But now she was so shy the first 2 weeks. And I told her the other day, it's like, you're like a totally different person here because you're starting to understand and you can speak with authority. And it sounds so great to hear her personality coming out in her voice.
You know, it's what's so interesting about how you just naturally go about it in this way is that there's three traits that make for what you're looking for in somebody, like that ideal kind of team player is humility, which mainly comes about a lot of times when you've been had a story where you've struggled and things have happened. And then number two, hunger, that like you desire to to make a difference, to do good work, to drive things forward, to work together. And then there's the people smart, which is empathy, emotional intelligence, able to read the room. So it's like you naturally, with those people skills you have, you naturally were already gravitating towards finding people that were the ideal team player, that every team should be modeling those three traits after who they try to develop or hire for. So that I just want to recognize you that like you were doing that really well without maybe even knowing about that that model. So that's phenomenal.
Well, but thanks to, Working Genius, I do share an office with another agent. And so we share overhead, we share team, we share everything. And he's very high in tenacity. He's like,
Nice.
if we got to get this done, we got to pound it out. And he's the one that's always coming to me and saying, hey, we got to do this, this, and this. And it's like, can't we just go fishing or play golf or something else? And so he, like my wife, is kind of holding me, my feet to the fire and
Yeah,
keeping us
accountability.
on course. So it's very much a complete package. I think about, there were times when I started, I had 2 employees. I was down to 1. There was some time where I was down to 0 because I couldn't find anybody. And now we've got a total of, we have 1 remote employee who is just about to give birth to her 2nd child, which is super cool.
Wow, that's
And
exciting.
yeah, when she left California, we love her so much and we didn't want to lose her that we now have her working remote. And then we've got our 2 full-time people. And now I feel like we've got a team. We've got synergy. We've got delineation of labor and talents. And I've never had that so much in my career. And that's kind of given me the ability to look at other things outside of my job that help make me, I think, more of a complete person. So, I know it's hard. I know a lot of agents right now who are working with no team at all. And that is no way to live life because you're just putting out fires. I'm not even that proactive, but there's no way you can be proactive if you don't have, and I don't care what kind of business you're in. Justin, you need different skills to bring to a business to make it function. So you gotta hire people, as painful as it is, because that is not fun.
It's definitely not fun, but I have found like I just hired somebody and they're just starting actually today, and we had first day of us brainstorming and talking through stuff. But when you have Working Genius, like I was able to identify those traits that I needed that she had, and then kind of explain to her like why I value her so much and the things that she's going to be doing and how that ties into the areas that she's uniquely gifted in, and then to put them into a position to leverage their gifts where I already know that she's going to get energy, fulfillment, and have a high capacity within her role. It's so cool when you can put somebody in a position to love what they do and to really know that they're going to excel in it, as long as obviously emotional challenges and baggage and things don't come up to weigh them down, but just from a strength perspective. Man, so yeah, it feels good because none of us can do everything on their own. Anybody who thinks that they have every single one of the geniuses and they think that they can just always work on their own, I guarantee you maybe you can for a little while, but over time it's going to cause burnout and you're not going to have the same level of success, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just listened to a video this morning. This guy's a CPA, and he talks about the economy and things happening on a financial basis. And he talks about just stay with what you know and develop your skills to be a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you do. Like I dabbled
Mm-hmm.
in different business opportunities and was horrible, and it made me a miserable person. And so when I heard him today, I was just realizing, man, how come I didn't pay attention to that 15, 20 years ago? Dom, in what you do it well. And if you're swimming upstream and you're not liking it, then you got to get the hell out of the pool. But I'm sure you are where you are right now because, you do enjoy what you're doing and you're thriving. Otherwise, it'll show up in people's faces. It'll show up in how they do their job. It'll show up in how they appear on a Saturday, over a barbecue and some beers. It's just, and that's not a way to go through life. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I've never had a job where I just hated what I was doing.
And on the Dom note, I just gotta say, like, if you want a financial advisor, having somebody high on discernment and tenacity is what you want. That is why Dom is my financial guy, because you want somebody who can like intuitively see the patterns within the market, notice directions to go, and who's also highly efficient at like getting things done and getting things across the finish line and being very organized. So that's why I always want a DT as my financial advisor.
Well, appreciate the plug, Justin. And, just very similar to your story, Michael. I just love serving people and helping people. And, I just feel incredibly blessed to be able to do what I do and serve people. And you mentioned having vulnerable conversations, like to be able to be there for a couple or an individual or, a small business and serve them in that way is just incredibly humbling